we're not going to let the rest of the state of Oregon be like that. We're going to show up here at the Capitol. We're going to make sure they know that the state of Oregon is ours. And we're going to stand up here at the Capitol. We're going to do it more regularly. And we're going to make sure they know that in Salem, we don't stand for that crap. And, you know, if you want to start stuff in Portland, we're going to squash you up there too eventually as well. It just takes a little bit more time up there because there's so many of them. But down here in Salem, I really want to say, it's safe. It's safe here. We've got folks who are like-minded. We've got folks who actually care about the safety of children and about the safety of your vehicles and your property and all that kind of stuff up here, right? And so anytime that Western Patriot or myself, Joey Nations, has an event, I want to make sure that it's safe. And I want to make sure that people know that we do not mess around. And so if people are going to come here and try to shut down our events, then we're going to make sure that there is enough, defense, there's enough people, there's enough, well-spoken word to know that they cannot shut down our events. We will be here regardless. If we have to fight for our rights, we will. But that's not what we want. We want a peaceful assembly, right? Does everybody want to gather here without fighting?
Yes.
Right? Is that what everybody wants? I think so. And so to me, there's just a few things that I want to touch on here. We're still going to give folks a chance to show up, right? I think we'll still have some late arrivals. But we're going to talk a little bit about Democrat violence. We're going to talk about the left and about the way they treat right-wing people and conservative people in this country. And we're going to talk about how they've always done it and how they still do it and how they're going to keep doing it unless we stop them. And so that's where I see a big opportunity, is stopping the violence, because the moderate Democrats, the folks on that side who see all the black masks and they see all the fights, they see the assaults, they don't want to be part of that. They don't want to be in a Democrat party that says Antifa is our strong arm. They don't want to be in a Democrat party where they have to wonder about assaults. They have to wonder about maybe being identified as a conservative themselves and getting attacked. And so I think there's a lot of growing that we can do as a group in Oregon. If you look at the Democratic Party out here, it's one of the most extreme leftist groups out there. You see our governor out there talking every day about how she wants full-term abortions. She wants illegal aliens in our state. She wants sanctuary for everybody but Oregonians. She wants you to pay more for your health care, even though the feds want to make it cheaper. I mean, there is just complete insanity going on at the state capitol and in the party that, they call themselves Democrats, right? I don't think they're Democrats anymore. They're turning into communists, they're socialists. I mean, they're anything but loving, supportive Americans. And so that's the particular thing that I want to talk about today, is how the Democrats are continuing this pattern that they've always held, and that we need to create a new holding pattern for the right-wing conservative folks and the moderate folks who think that, political violence is bad. They need to show up, and we need to have a holding pattern where we're gathering together regularly, and we're going to events, we're showing up at town halls, we're going to the Capitol, we're making our voices known in Oregon. Because you have a lot of swing out here from Portland and from Eugene. Those two cities don't make the state of Oregon. We had 28 counties vote for Republicans, and you've got 8 counties that voted for Hillary. 28 counties voted for Trump, 8 for Hillary. You do the math. We've got a lot of ability and a lot of chance here to change that. And it all starts with acknowledging that the Democrats are violent and that they are extreme and they have nothing to offer for solutions. All they have is resistance, impeachment, attack, assault. They don't know anything about economics or about, society, about the right of people to gather peacefully, about the rule of law, about enforcing laws that we already have on the books. They don't know anything about that stuff. And so there's a couple of points I want to talk about, and I brought a little sheet of paper here to remind me of a couple of things that are really important to talk about. And I think really what you want to start with the Democrats is you want to look back at history. I see some kids in the back, and I'm glad, because you need to learn your history about your country and about the parties that run the political show out here. The Democrats have always been violent. They've always been violent. That is their history, that is their past, that is their shtick, that is what they do. If you look at historical Democrat violence, You can look back to slavery, which was perpetrated by the Democrats. That's a Democrat thing, slavery. Most people don't realize that. It is. The Democratic Party was the party of slavery. The Democratic Party was the party of the KKK. The Democratic Party is the party of Jim Crow laws. Now they love to sit there and act like, oh, they've changed. Oh, they fixed everything since the 1950s and 60s. Now it's just Republicans who are evil. It's a complete farce. The Democrats have always been racist and violent, and they don't know how to address their history and their past. Because, thank you. There's a really big problem with the Democrats and their non-responsiveness to violence. In the past, they always used it. They always embraced their violence. They would put on their white KKK hoods, and they would go out and attack black folks. They would attack folks who stood up for black folks. They would attack white folks who didn't agree with them. They would attack anyone who didn't agree with them. So the KKK, they got outed by the CIA and by the FBI. And what do you see happening now? You see Antifa being infiltrated by the FBI and the CIA. You see arrests happening. You see New Jersey calling Antifa a terrorist organization. You do, because we're catching on again. The Democrats, they were hiding for the past 50, 60 years, hiding their violence, hiding their hatred. But now they're fully exposed again. And we see it in Antifa, we see it in their leadership. We see it in Nancy Pelosi, we see it all over. So they're exposed again. So I think it's a matter of time, just like the KKK of old, the Democrat organization, the new KKK, Antifa, they're going to be shut down too. It's just a matter of time. One thing that you really got to remember too about the Democrats is that after they had all those problems with the KKK and, being the party of slavery, they thought, hey, we're going to lose elections. I think we better remake our brand. I think we better change things up. And so they started this pattern of changing their actual message and their tactics and their goals. So they had a remake in the 1960s, late 50s and 60s. Little history lesson for those of you who are my age and younger, or those of you who maybe have seen it. What they did in 1964 is they passed what's called the Immigration Act. The Immigration Act would forever change the makeup of this country. The Immigration Act was passed by the Democrats and heavily supported by Lyndon B. Johnson, Kennedy. Kennedy was the main one, but after him, Johnson and the others supported it mainly. But the Immigration Act changed the immigration patterns in this country, stopping European immigration from coming here and changing the preferences that we had for South America, the Middle East, Africa. All of those things changed in the 1964 Immigration Act because the Democrats came up with a plan. The Democrats said, we're not going to be the party of the KKK. We're not going to be the party of racists anymore. We're going to be the party of identity politics. We're going to be the party of race-based politics. We're going to focus in on race as our driving issue. And so you have a character, as some of you may know, of Lyndon B. Johnson. He was president of this country. Lyndon B. Johnson sat there and said to the Democrats, I'm going to get the black vote for 200 years for the Democrats because we are changing the way that we do business. Johnson was a complete snake. And what you see is President Trump, he got 8% of the African American vote. That's actually really good for a Republican candidate. The Democrats, because of their changes in the 60s, they targeted the black community and said, we're going to make their votes our votes. And since that time, with the help of the Immigration Act as well, they have made race-based politics their absolute #1 issue. And so that's another reason that I want to talk about the history of the Democrat violence, because Lyndon B. Johnson helped create the Great Society. I don't know if you know what the Great Society is, but the Great Society was targeted by Lyndon B. Johnson to be the saving grace of America's lower class populations. What he didn't like to say is that he was specifically targeting the black community to make sure that they receive handouts from the Democrats as a pattern for things to come. A lot of the black folks are waking up and they know what the Democrats have done to them. They know what the Democrats are still trying to do. And so I think a lot of moderate folks, whether you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Indian, whatever you may be, whatever you are, you can identify as an American. And you can recognize that the Democrats are not the answer to racism. They promote it. They are the ones who have essentially sat there and developed it in this country into the fine-tuned machine that it is now. And so, in the name of the Great Society, Johnson created all these social entitlement programs that we still have today. There's something that, in response to those programs, different groups were told, hey, these programs are for you. You need to recognize that and develop your politics around these programs. So what do you see today? The Great Society entitlement programs that we have today, they're from the 60s. You think they're still as relevant as they were in the 1960s? Probably not. I would guess not. But they continue those, and they continue funding them and using them as this carrot, if you will, for the folks that they have created this class of voters. And it's a shame. And so, really, moving forward, the Democrats, over the last 50, 60 years, what they've really done is tried to rebrand themselves, like I mentioned earlier. They don't want to be the racist party. They don't want to be the party of, race-based politics, unless it's their race-based politics, right? And so they sit there, and for the last 50 or 60 years, they've beat the hell out of the Republicans, culturally, socially, in the schools, you name it. We've been losing the culture war in this country big time. We really have been. If you haven't been paying attention, they own the TV, they own the colleges, they own the public schools, you name it. Culturally, the war has been over for a long time, and now we're starting it up again. That's what I love, is that we are standing up for not only Republican values, American values, we're standing up for American culture. We're standing up for the thought that your race should not identify your politics. Your race should not dictate the way that you vote and act. And that's what the Democrats want to tell people, that it should. It should. One thing that I really want to make a point of is that if you see how the Democrats act, not just in Oregon, but all over the country, they slander Republicans endlessly with Nazi, with racism, with xenophobia, with everything under the sun. It doesn't even matter if you're white or you're not white. They will call you a white supremacist. They can have Tiny, who has shown up at lots of rallies. He's a Samoan guy. He's called a white supremacist. I never knew it, I guess, until they labeled him one. And so the thing that shocks me is that they are so lost on politics, all they can think about is race. You see it at Evergreen College, you see it all over the place. All they can do is talk about race. And it's a losing battle for them. What we're going to do is we're going to take the fight to the Democrats in the state houses, in the schools, in the streets, and we're going to take it in the sense of a cultural battle that we must win. We can't let cultural Marxism, neo-Marxism rule the streets in this country where it's okay to go out and attack Republicans. People literally have their children going out to these protest rallies, donning masks and throwing firecrackers and stuff. That is a mental disease. You cannot tell your children that political violence is okay. And so we have to stand up everywhere, whether it's the Capitol or Portland or Seattle, Sacramento, wherever it is, you stand up against Democrat violence because it's all over the place, especially in the states that they run, right? So in the post-Trump era, the last thing I really want to talk about is the future and what America's going to look like for conservative beliefs and for the Democrats. The Antifa folks and the Black Lives Matter folks and the anarchists and the communists, folks who really want to divide this country and create violence, and they want to create division based on what folks look like. It's a losing battle for them. What we're going to face them with is logic. We're going to face them with love. We're going to face them with facts and information. Because the truth hurts, man. Anybody can be racist. I don't care who you are. You can be racist. And so we just don't want anybody to be racist. It's very simple. Don't be racist. Just stand up for America. Stand up for the beliefs that you have. and make sure that those around you do the same thing. Influence those around you to stand up and talk about the things that matter. And stand up and come to these rallies and vote the right way and make sure that you are taking the time out of your day to America. And what I mean by that is stand up for your country. So whether you're toting a big old flag around town, or you're wearing a MAGA hat, or you're just walking around going, you know what, God bless America, whatever your act is, stand up to Democrat violence. Stand up in their town halls, go to their town halls and say, you know what, I'm going to stand here and protest against all the things that you represent in this country, all the violence you promote, and see how they treat you. See what they yell at you, see what they do. Because I bet you they're going to be violent and racist and mean to you. Because that is what they do. But they will not win that way. We're going to give it time. Trump's only been in office not even 6 months, folks. Give it time. We're going to win. And so I don't think we're ever going to get tired of winning. I love that Trump says that. I don't think we're going to get tired of it. I think we want victories all the time, right? So a couple things I want to talk about. I saw we have a few of our Oregon State Police showed up. They're supporting our 3%ers.